Teenage love. While not a unique experience, teenage love feels intensely personal. It feels just unbelievable that anybody else in the world could have felt how you did. Yet billions throughout history have all walked the same path. As people grow into adulthood and reach their 20s and their 30s, I feel like they tend to forget. They disregard teenage love as something that didn't mean very much, just a tiny sliver of their life that is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Even though I'm only 19, I think they're very wrong. I would argue that teenage love is the first stage of your real life. What I mean by that is it's your first real world experience. I feel as though people force themselves to move on, force themselves to forget, block out how meaningful it actually was as a means to continue life without misery. Now, I'm not saying all people, but I would bet that that is the majority. Now, how does teenage love come to be? That's one of the crazy things about teenage love. You don't even have to really put yourself out there. You can kind of just fall into it. I personally was fortunate or unfortunate, based on your takeaway from this video, enough to be in 2 relationships during my teenage years, and it doesn't look like I'm gonna be in a third before it ends. And neither was a relationship that I personally sought out. It was more of accidentally getting along and then deciding to date. I found that once you get older and observe other people's relationships, this just doesn't slide as well. Everyone seems to date, everybody seems to know what they want. You just can't luck out anymore. If you do, it's rare. Obviously, putting yourself out there as a teenager will further your chances of securing a relationship, but I definitely did it. And like I said, I had 2 relationships during my teenage years. Now, I also think it's important to differentiate between being in a relationship and being in love, because in love is something special. As I mentioned before, I had 2 relationships during high school, and only the second one I would consider love. Of course, during the first one, you can say that, oh, I love you, but it doesn't mean it's real. You just think that. And for most people I've spoken to my age who believe they've been in love, they also say the second love was their first real love, and I just thought that was interesting to include. Me personally, and I know a lot of people my age share this sentiment, we don't think anything, any feeling, anything in the world can compare to the feeling that is true teenage love, even if it is naive and stupid and all that. There's no high that can compare, nothing. To explain what love feels like is complicated, obviously. It's an incredibly unique feeling, and comparing it to anything feels like doing it a disservice. I think when you know for sure, you know for sure. And I think a lot of people think they know for sure, but don't actually know for sure. I still remember the first time that I felt the spark, I'll call it, of love. I think most people who have experienced it remember the first time, because it's such a special feeling. You treasure that moment for your entire life. It was with my second love, who you'll remember was my first real love. And we were trekking out on these rocks, and they were kind of their own little peninsula sticking out onto Lake Erie. I live in Ohio on Lake Erie, so we always would go out there, and it was a beautiful sunset. It was just immaculate, and we came to a point where it was hard to traverse, and I grabbed her hand, and we just locked eyes, and it was like fireworks exploding all over my body, and I know she felt the same thing. And it really is a spark, as I keep calling it. It's electricity. It's like the most intense feeling in the world. I remember there were just so many days where we were just out in my car till 2 a.m. just like holding each other, not saying anything, just feeling that connection, that electricity, and it was just crazy. I think being able to enjoy someone's company without speaking to them is a very special thing. This spark or intensity is part of the reason I have my doubts about many people actually being in love. If as many people were in love as they claim to be, I feel like the world would be very different, personally. If people had felt what I felt that first day, or first month, or first year, I feel like it would just be different. The world becomes so beautiful. Like, you never realize how green the grass is, or just like how blue the sky is. It's like your eyes are actually just open for the first time. Like, you just appreciate everything. Every night is a beautiful sunset. Every day is an adventure. You even notice the flowers. It's just crazy. When you're a teenager, you experience a lot of firsts together. Of course, there are sexual firsts, which is, yeah, I could do a whole video on that. You sneak each other over, you go to secret spots, you explore the world. It's just a whole lot of new, and it's amazing. And you're showing them the world just as much as they're showing you. You take them to places they've never been, and they introduce you to foods you've never even heard of. You go through phases together, you laugh, you cry together. I know my ex was the first girl I ever broke down in front of, and that experience was just so unique. Having companionship is so comforting during this formative time in your life. This being a first or second relationship experience for most, I feel a lot of people lean very heavily into the romantic side of things. I think this is beautiful. I think it's awesome to lean into the romantic side of things, but also extremely dangerous. You get these feelings that she deserves the whole world, and what normally would be a chore is a privilege to do for her. You can't imagine yourself with someone else. You'll either marry this girl or die alone. That's just where your mind is at. You practically study her. You could paint every inch of her in insane detail just from memory. And I know I fell into this trap. I kind of feel like this gets to the point of obsession, not love. And I feel like a lot of time people get the two confused, because you can do all this shit and like be obsessed with somebody, but if the love isn't both ways, then it's not love. I know with me, their needs and their problems became all that mattered to me. I put myself on the back burner. I stopped hanging out with my friends. I gave everybody and everything up for this person that I thought was the end game, because I thought if I give all this up, then it'll be worth it. I'll have this person secured. I thought if I gave it my all, it would be worth it in the end. But the truth is, sometimes you give it your all and you lose. Everything is a gamble. This is where the tragedy of teenage love arrives. It's the same as the tragedy in everything, really. It just doesn't last forever. You can put every ounce of your being into it, and it will only prolong the inevitable. I remember how sudden it all seemed. Those thoughts of doubts, thoughts you never let yourself consider. The truth is, these thoughts can seem abrupt, but they aren't. I remember with my ex, just days before we broke up, I ended up taking her to my extended family's Christmas celebration. We would break up just a week later on New Year's Eve. We had been dating for 2 years at that point, and just like that, it was over. The hard and ugly truth is, you're teenagers, you're still finding your sense of self. You will most likely end up growing apart. There will be a point where you fight more than you go on dates, and the lows will begin to outweigh the highs. I know when this was happening, I was in denial. I was convinced it wasn't that bad, or that it was just a rough patch and that we would get over it, but we never did. There were times where we both would become petty, we lost trust in each other, we became paranoid, or at least I did, and rightfully so with what I figured out. But it's so hard to end it because you both know what you once had. You know it's special and that you might never get that again. And I know for me, I had dedicated so much to this girl that I loved that I didn't want it to be all for nothing. I ended up committing even grander gestures at the end to try to save us. I snuck out of school to get her McDonald's. I took her to Florida. I spent thousands on her, even though I was a broke teenager. I worked 3 jobs to support her spending habits because I wanted to give her the world, and I thought that was the only way I could save us. And honestly, everything I did was futile. You can't buy back or force love. I doubt she remembers most of what I did, and I can't even blame her. Breakups can happen for almost any different reason. You can break up with somebody for anything. And they can be okay, they can be mutual, they can be bad, or they can be really bad. And I think most are commonly just bad. I know mine was really bad, as it happened 7 months ago at this point, and I'm still dealing with shit from it. It really is just one of the most painful feelings in the world. When you see her in the hallway or wherever, your heart will still jump, but not in the excited way, more in a wretched way. It's like you're mourning the loss of somebody who's still alive, just somebody you can't have. And I feel like nobody talks about this. It's so humiliating. Humiliating because you really thought you were someone. You thought you could be worthy of love. But you are, but in that moment, you feel like you're just a fool, that you're not worthy, that you thought you were this, and that you're not this. It's also humiliating because you wanted so badly to be the high school couple who could survive through college and onwards. Everything begins to remind you of her, every color, every song, even certain foods. Her friends hate you now. You don't know why, but what can you do? The depression it puts you in isn't really normal. I don't even know if I would qualify it as a depressive state, but more of an ongoing breakdown. Your mind is like just a whirlwind, and you feel so much, and sometimes you feel so much that you become numb. You love so hard, and for what? You can never imagine doing what you did for that person again. How could you write 100 full-length love letters for someone who didn't even care? How could you have stood there and been mistreated over and over? You stayed for them, but can't imagine ever doing that again. You promise yourself you'll never delude yourself like that again. And despite whatever happened, you'll still somehow have a soft spot for her. You still never call her a bitch or a whore. You just can't bring yourself to, even if your friends call her that, or even if she fits the definition. And I know I began to question my own actions a lot. I went back through everything. I was like trying to pinpoint where everything went wrong, and overthinking became my worst enemy. I hadn't really learned yet how to just let someone go, and I think that's another characteristic that's pretty unique to teenage love, because with every person you let go, it becomes easier, I guess, but you're still in that beginning stage of learning how to do it. You begin to question whether love really exists or if it was just a delusion. Like, how could it exist? You were head over heels for this girl, but it was just a lie. All of that just to end. You go through old messages, you look at old photos, her Instagram is cleared of you, and you eventually get around to clearing yours of her. You can't quite clear your camera roll yet, you just don't want to forget. All of those photos just sit in a hidden folder on your phone that you'll someday go through and delete. After the loneliness sets in, you begin to hate other couples for a bit. You tell yourself they will end up just like yours, that love isn't real, even though deep down you can't shake how that spark felt. This is when you're on your own, and you don't really realize this until later, but this period of time really helps you find yourself. You realize the restaurants you always took her to, you only went to because maybe she likes them, or that you only dressed away to make her happy. Maybe you found out a certain artist that you thought you liked, you were only into because she liked them. Only after we broke up did I realize that we would go to only places she liked. To be honest, she never even bothered asking my favorite places. She liked the idea of me. She liked my role, the person who would spend thousands on their partner as a teenager. But she couldn't name my favorite color, my favorite song, my favorite food. It just didn't make sense. How could you feel such a once in a lifetime spark with someone and they didn't even care to know you? I still think like the love was real, like the feeling is unmatched, but maybe I wasted it on the wrong person, and you become disappointed. You really tried to make her care, but you can't control what path she goes down. It's like being a disappointed father in a weird way. You don't understand, you disapprove, but you still have a soft spot. You can't say anything. You'll see she has a new guy in less than a month, or maybe even less than a week after the breakup. You hate her for it, and you hate him too, honestly. I wonder how long they were talking while we were together, honestly. You are in more of a state of disbelief than anger, although the anger is extremely strong. You compare yourself to the new guy and you just don't understand. You're better in every way, yet she's going for this guy. You tried everything to be the best partner you could, and yet she's with him in a week or even less. Honestly, this part was one of the hardest parts for me. I was personally cheated on by my ex, and I know a lot of people can relate to that. And the guy she's with now is constantly pursuing her throughout our relationship, despite being told multiple times that, hey, she's in a relationship. And he being the bad guy and creating multiple accounts, texting her, whatever, he somehow won. You're taller, you're better looking, you have more money, you dress better, and you just did everything to be the best partner, and this dude still won. You feel sick, you lose sleep, it infiltrates your dreams. I know I personally even became suicidal over it, as embarrassing as that is to say, over a girl, but I genuinely did, because I poured my heart out to this girl, and then it was just, oh, it's nothing to you. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. One day you'll wake up and it will hit you that that isn't your girl anymore. You can hook up or fuck around with her, but she'll never be your girl again. And if you're worried about the new guy, it's not his girl either. It's just his turn. Honestly, if you're hung up on your ex cheating and then getting with the guy she cheated on you with, just imagine being stupid enough to trust a girl you stole from another guy. She will do whatever she wants. You cannot control her. And I know you don't even want to control her. You just wish she'd chosen a better path. Eventually, your head does become clearer. You begin to reflect and learn, and it's a small victory in the tragedy that is teenage love. You begin to realize you were never meant to be together forever, that even if it was the only true love or spark you'll experience, it was more of a lesson than anything else. I knew after my first ex, my freshman year of high school, that I could not fuck up again. And that second girl, that was the first time I think I've ever given something my all, my 100% in life. And I can say that with confidence. I gave everything. And even though it didn't work out, that taught me that I could be great. It instilled confidence in me that I still have to this day. It confidence as simple as, yeah, I actually can get 100% on this exam. It's not unobtainable. It also taught me that being great doesn't mean you win the game. Look at Neymar, look at Ronaldo. They are known as some of the greats, yet they've never won a World Cup. I feel like people forget, sometimes purposely, sometimes through substance abuse, sometimes through forcing thoughts out of their mind. Because when you do remember, it does hurt. It makes it more difficult to handle everything. I know I don't want to forget. I don't know exactly why, but I know what happened in those 2 years helped me build who I am today. People who don't want to forget are split into two categories: those who can appreciate the time you had, and those who can't get over the time you had together. Even though they know it had to end, they can't accept it's over. Most people start here. I know a big thing that kept me from moving on was guilt. I remember the first time I slept with a girl after my breakup. I actually ended up breaking no contact with my ex, and I was calling her, I was crying, I was saying I'm sorry. And the truth is, I was really weak. I hadn't learned self-respect. I didn't realize I deserved better. I was crying to this girl who cheated on me because I slept with another girl, and this was like probably 2 months after we broke up. I feel like a lot of boys or even girls get trapped in relationships without having self-respect. It's very common. And it's really a battle with yourself to move on, and to be strong enough to move on is really heroic and brave in my eyes. When you do get the courage to try to move on, you might sleep around, you might go on dates, meet new girls, and I did all this, but it wasn't right, and I don't think it's a good decision to do that, but I think it might be a necessary one, because after you do that, you can take a step back and really focus on yourself. It just wasn't right. It wasn't the girl's fault that you reject them because you keep thinking you're over your ex when you're really not. It takes a lot of time to actually recover. You can just jump into another relationship, but I doubt that will go well. When I was sleeping around and talking to girls, I realized that I couldn't recreate that intensity or spark with anyone. I think you only get one spark, and once it's out, it's out. I see a lot of people dispute this claim, but I think it's a major cope, honestly. People force themselves to forget what the intensity was like so they can tell themselves they found it again when they find somebody attractive enough who they can halfway get along with. The hard truth from what I've seen from adult relationships, parents, grandparents, friends, is that after you get this spark, it never really comes back. And sometimes the spark doesn't happen until later in life. It's just more common in teenage years. But does the spark even need to come back? You can live a happy life with somebody you get along with, and I feel like that's a form of love in its own way, even if it's different and not intense and action-packed. You don't need the spark to be happy. Happiness is a whole different thing, and if you could just recreate that teenage love spark with anybody, it wouldn't be special. If I'm being honest, the spark is a drug. It's not just as simple as putting it down and never experiencing it again. My ex and I, despite her being with another dude and me trying to move on, have hooked up on multiple occasions. And obviously I'm not proud of this fact, but I think it's necessary to include, as it's very common in these types of situations. The thing is, these experiences with your ex after you break up, they're incredibly intimate. The whole world hates each other while you're making out on a hiking trail or whatever. You can still feel what made you so close in the first place. You can't imagine someone else knowing her body as you know hers. You can relapse as many times as you want, really. But when you do break free, it's like beating an addiction. Like I said, it's heroic. When the cycle does stop, you will focus on yourself, and for real this time. I feel like once you make the decision that you're never going back, and once you gain some self-respect, it's like a switch flips in you. I feel like it's almost instinctual how after a potentially traumatizing event like a breakup, people force themselves upwards as a means of survival. You are filled with new motivation to strive for greatness that wasn't there before. You see it all the time with people going to the gym or getting involved with religion, or in this case, creating something I've wanted to create since I was probably 7 years old. This channel. You've gone too long trying to cater yourself to someone else. Now is your time to focus on catering to yourself. What happened, whether you like it or not, fundamentally changed you as a person. And now is the time when you build off that foundation. But like most things, it's a double-sided coin. It might be hard to dedicate that much of yourself to someone again. You become too wise to put everything on the line. You might cut off potential futures prematurely as a defense mechanism. And worst of all, you kind of just come to the realization that shit happens. The world isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but thunderstorms and cheaters. And even when you get to the point where you feel absolutely nothing for your previous partner, there will be still days where they drift into your mind. You wonder what they're up to, or how life would be different if you were still together. These thoughts are fleeting, but they do exist. They will be a part of you forever as you will be to them. This is just speculation, but I feel as though old people love is the only thing that can compare to teenage love. You found someone you know you'll spend your final days with. You're wise. You know that this is the last one, so you can put all your eggs in one basket without much risk. No, I will be ending my teenage years and turning 20 in about 2 months, which is scary. And I wanted to create this video so I don't forget what teenage love is like, because even if it's just a sliver and has ups and downs, it is so meaningful. If not your relationship, it's meaningful how it builds you as a person. What do you think? Do you think teenage love is worth it? Can anything compare? Is it as meaningful as I think it is? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I do actually read those. And if you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. I plan on more videos like this in the future, but better. Peace.